Okay. Oops. Just kidding. Now we're okay. So when last we left off, the Left Stars had been finishing their ride aboard the Azure Phoenix to get to the Savanna Island, which was inside a heavy storm where Aesop's parents and the recovery squad are said to be dealing with an elemental incursion of some kind. As the ship broke the storm's cover to reveal the island below, the party made their descent through both Aesop's dimension door and a polymorphed manta ray in the form of Klax, and landed on an island that is much less hospitable than you hoped. In the first 8 hours of dust storms, you encountered... Klax had scouted some elementals fighting, but later that day, the party was confronted by an ancient storm crow who circled the party. It was a tough fight, and Mouse almost lost her life, but the crow was destroyed, and that is where we left off. Mere moments after Mouse drew a sort of fresh, dusty breath, and everybody is still kind of like breathing heavily after a difficult encounter.
Hey, Mouse. Hey, Mouse. Hey. Are you alive, Mouse? Wake up, please.
Yeah, that crow was scarier than I thought it was from afar.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay?
I am pretty sure everyone's fine. It's just difficult to get to people in these sands. But if you need help up,
That would be great, and I will let you pull me up as I am wobbly on my short little legs.
Yep.
About this time, Flint finally makes it over.
Drada is joining, and because of the low visibility as this is happening, Drada is just like every 5 seconds going like, Mouse, you dead? You dead?
Mouse is fine. We're good.
Great.
I start waving my flashlight from Flint.
Yeah, and it's starting to get dark. It wasn't quite at Drada's ideal level of darkness, and so there is some visibility, but you sort of look up and you look forward at the flashlight, and it's really one of the only ways you can see through this dust storm at the moment.
When the storm crow died, did it leave a body or did it just sort of disperse?
Yeah, it crashed into the ground into like a puff of clouds. You can inspect that area if you'd like, but
I spent a couple of minutes just inspecting it, seeing if there's, I don't know how these gems get created or anything, if it would have left something behind or whatnot, but look around.
okay, you can roll investigation if you'd like.
Tangential question. I feel like the answer is probably no, but after it perished, like, do we see any change in the storm around us, in the dust clouds?
You could roll a nature check if you'd like. With a 19 investigation, you sort of kick the dirt, or kick the sand around where the crow sort of crashed. You do... Roll me an intelligence check. And I'll explain. Okay. It's high enough, because it's not a... It's like a little niche maybe for your friends to know, but Flint being a sort of crafter of sorts, you kind of kick around the ground and you see that where it crashed created a large chunk of melted sand, which is referred to as vulgarite. And so it's imagine if you were to pour molten metal into a if you've seen those videos of people pouring molten metal into anthills for some reason, people do that. It's glass that has that shape to it, that is sort of like in a mass where this bird hit the ground. You imagine that the sort of like thunder lightning form of its talons melted the glass, or melted the sand as it hit. But that's the only thing that you find.
Is that something that I would at all think is useful in any way, or is this just basically a weird hunk of glass or whatever that?
I think that Flint would be curious to take some, because it sort of is like a elementally charged reagent, but you don't really know what you could do with it yet.
Yeah, I'll definitely. Is it big enough, or is it small enough that I can just take all of it, or do I
It's
chip some off?
Yeah, you would want to chip some off. It's sort of like a I would say it's the equivalent of a shield's worth of this molten glass that's in the ground. With the 18 nature check, Drada, you look up at the sky and doesn't seem to be any difference in this moment. There's no thunderous cause, but the storm seems unchanging.
Okay. That was really fun. Do we want to resume trying to get out of dust and find shelter? Because I would like that. That sounds great. I would not like to perish.
No.
Absolutely. Just stay together, though.
Yeah, I
I love
don't
that
think.
for us.
Yeah.
Does anybody have an idea?
Can we see like far enough to be able to see any of these like mountains or anything off in the distance, or is it just complete?
No.
Okay.
And we never made it to the lake that we had seen. Or did we see the lake from the airship?
Not from the airship. When you were scouting as a manta ray,
Sorry.
you would have
That's right.
seen it, but
Do I have an idea after the battle, the general direction the lake was still in, or am I
Yeah.
too discombobulated?
I think so.
Okay, then I will yell at the group that going to continue moving towards that lake at least, so we at least have a feature to work with. And I believe it's that away, and I'm going to start walking that way.
I will flag that it is, especially after such a arduous encounter, you know that it is around the time that you would normally start to rest. So the longer that you sort of travel in your current status, the more you'll risk exhaustion.
So, guys, keep an eye out for anywhere where we have a chance to rest. Anything that even a rock outcropping where we can put like a tent or tarp up just to shield us from wind. Give a holler. Keep an eye out. But I imagine where we're at, there's nothing that looks like could be used as any kind of windbreak, at least.
There were some low boulders and sapling trees. There was nothing of
Nothing for a couple members of this party to get
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I figure we head in the direction of the lake, and just as soon as we see anything that looks like we could, make shelter, we stop there.
Do we have a sense of what sort of shelter the party carries? We kind of hand wave food and whatnot generally, but
Wait, one.
I'm curious what people have in their inventory insofar as tents and such.
Bedroll. And about 40 feet of rope.
Yeah.
Just a bedroll for me.
I would assume I've got like that kind of thing, but I actually don't have it specified in my inventory, at least in here.
Yep, we got rope and some good bedrolls.
Yeah, you guys can double check D&D Beyond in case it didn't make a transfer into Foundry. But
No, I think that sounds about right, to be honest.
Yeah.
On my end, at least.
yeah, I think generally people wouldn't just carry tents 24/7.
Correct.
Flint will be filling the bag of holding with lots of things like this in the future. But yeah, the moment doesn't look like it.
No, but at least if we can get a lean-to or something, we could always put the bedrolls up, tie them together, kind of give us a makeshift shelter. But we'll be huddled close together and probably still cold and wet and whatever else. But yeah, just because there's nothing here, just keep moving as best I can in the direction towards the lake, looking for anything that could be useful.
Okay. If two people want to do an investigation check, and then also tell me how long you're willing to look. On top of that.
I will take an investigation check.
Yeah, I'm not jumping all over that one.
Right, neither am I.
Woo! Nice, Flint.
Ooh, and I will gather everybody up close and use my turret a few times before it goes away until everybody gets the max of, I think it's 12.
Yeah, we'll say that everybody has 12 max hit points because...
Max or temp?
Sorry, temp, yes.
Thank you.
I'm not sure why, but my overall hit points just reset. I think I was...
You open D&D Beyond?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, well, I was previously at 12, so I know that, but just...
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, that's an easy one to figure out, because Aesop's heal is still on.
Yes.
If you need a second person to roll an investigation check, it will be worse than Flint's, but sure.
Sure, why not?
Still solid.
It's not bad.
Wow.
And then just to answer the question, like how long are you willing to look before you sort of go with the best option you have?
It's basically at the time where we're needing a rest, so
Yeah.
maybe like an hour or two. I don't think we'd go much longer than that.
Okay, we'll call it an hour before I would start to make you roll. But a 26 is pretty high. I would say it's not. You do not reach the lake in this time, but you do sort of find a sort of set of 3 larger boulders that create a almost crescent shape alcove that will give you some protection from the wind. Particularly, it's the dust storm as it is right now is blowing in the direction of these stones, and so you're able to sort of get behind them and establish a light shelter in order to stave off the worst of the elements. Not enough to really course correct from the difficulties of the environment at large, but enough to feel like you're probably as safe as you can be without the equipment that you need.
All right, I'll take first watch. But other than that, assuming if we haven't done the bedroll idea, I'm gonna bring up guys, we can try and strap some bedrolls together. It means we're sleeping directly on the ground, but at least it might afford, maybe fill in the gaps between the boulders and maybe give us a little protection from the swirling wind on the front side.
Sounds great.
So I'll take out my 40 feet of rope and start, as people hand me bedrolls, I'll start trying to fasten them together. And then after that, just eat some rations and try and find myself comfortable where I can kind of perch against the boulder, but keep an eye out in the direction.
Okay. What are the sort of classes on first watch? What are the other watches if people are taking them?
I think Flint's probably just beat down and exhausted from walking through this, with his short little legs and whatever all day, so he's probably going to take third watch.
Let's say I could take second.
I think Strada did not get close to death as Mouse did, but is not looking pretty. I think would probably want to sleep for a while first and take third as well.
I know it's Fox.
Mouse, feel free to get a night's rest. You almost died. You know that, right?
That's never happened to me before.
I'm just glad I was able to get to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
How
Appreciate it.
how are you
of
feeling?
course.
Just really tired. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about this island. I didn't know there were islands like this, I guess.
It's unfortunately, well, fortunately, normally not like this. Based on what I was told, it's just because two factions of elementals are at war with each other here. Clax,
Sure.
I'm pretty sure you saw something like that, didn't you?
Oh, you mean the when I was the manta ray and what I
Mhm.
saw? Oops, sorry, my monitor just reset on me. Yeah, when I was flying over, there was an earth elemental and a water elemental, if I remember correctly, and they were fighting each other. And every time the earth elemental hit the water elemental, like part of it would splinter off, and it would form like mud elementals from the looks of it, and they were running around. So,
Hmm.
and then the earth elemental beat the water elemental, and then walked away, and the little ones followed like ducklings. Like, if you've ever seen ducklings crossing a road.
Oh, that's not a pretty picture, but
But so
Aesop, roll history.
history. Have I experienced this before? Not bad.
I wasn't necessarily making you roll regarding the mud elemental bit, but I would say that, um, elementals have conflict of various kinds all the time, but it doesn't make sense. / you're not sure what the deal is with the storm. Like, there's something like you think about the storm generally implies lightning, which would be more in like air elemental territory,
Right.
perhaps. But then like for there to be conflict between more than two factions is sort of just a little bit odd. You think that there's an 18's not enough to know anything, perhaps, because I don't think that you would know or you would have been told this stuff, but
Right.
But you think this is a little bit more atypical than normal.
Right.
This is more than just like a little conflict. There's something happening here.
Unfortunately, I think we might have landed ourselves in a very entrenched and maybe even personal conflict between the different elementals. Storms like this aren't very known or normal or common, even in my time with my parents and their organization.
Well, we're really great at conflict resolution. So this will be a piece of cake.
We're the left stars. We got this. Like, it'll be
Oh.
fine. We'll just sleep. The storm will pass. It'll be no big deal tomorrow.
do I believe him? Do I think he believes what he just said?
You guys can roll for this if you want, but I feel like you can just sort of read the sarcasm in Flint's voice.
All right.
Flint's not trying to sound sarcastic. Flint is trying to
Be optimistic.
Okay.
He doesn't believe it.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's trying to.
My friends would never lie to me. I am not rolling.
So true, bestie. So true.
Just to confirm, is Mouse still joining Clax for First Watch?
I was planning on it.
Okay.
If you need to sleep, I can take it for you. Like, don't worry. But
We're gonna sit here long enough that we all get a break. It's okay. I can wait.
Okay. Before anybody rolls perception check, can somebody other than Clax and Mouse roll me a d20?
I will do so. So it's roll
It's like
1-20. Oh, /1 d20. Okay. Is there a slash in between
so-
1d20 or
It's /roll space 1d20.
slash roll space 1d20? Sorry, everyone.
Oh,
I think I
okay.
got it. 6. Woo!
Okay. If you could roll me an additional d10.
Mm,
This is just how many ducklings are going to walk through the camp. while
yeah.
they're on watch.
Not elemental ducklings, just little ducks.
1d10.
I'm just gonna.
Oh, just one lonely duckling.
That's kind of cute, though.
Okay.
Just a little friend. Is it lost?
It's
Is
good,
there the rest of our time on this island to reunite a duckling with a duck?
it's good news and bad news.
Great.
The storm, the dust storm ends.
That's a win.
As people are bedding down, the feverish nature of blasting winds in your face and ends, and is now replaced by scorching heat. And so I would like everybody to make a
I'm so sorry.
Constitution saving throw. Klax has advantage because it's a fire-based thing.
Oh, good, because I need the advantage.
The DC is not high, guys.
That's
Okay.
fine. That's fine. Whew.
Okay.
Millie, it says you rolled yours privately.
Oh well, it's really good. Oh, I
Oh,
thought still
I can see-
rolls.
I can see it as the DM, so you're fine. But you should
Okay.
turn that off.
I got a natural 20, so
Oh,
Love that for you.
I'm sorry, Drada.
Near death.
I don't think
Whatever.
I've seen. Okay, yeah. So
Rada's a good cave boy and he likes damp and cold and underground. He can't eat spicy food. These are all just character notes.
I do need Drada to roll. So this happens over the course of 4 hours.
Oh great.
Drada, I need you to roll me another d20 or another con save. So it's like it's for every hour until you save.
Come on, Drada.
Okay.
Oh. Whew.
So you take 2 fire damage. Just sort of like-
Easy.
yeah. Which comes out of the temporary hit points, so you're kind of still doing okay. And that's really the only thing to worry about. And the dust storm ends, and you guys may begin your watch. But if you could roll me a d20, or roll me perception checks on your first watch, I would appreciate it.
Another d20?
I'm not rolling with 22s.
And as the storm has ended, I will just say that the visibility has improved dramatically. Now there is still a storm overhead. There is still a little bit of light rain, but it's sort of transformed into more of like that humid rain environment rather than a violent storm. But what do you guys talk about?
Mouse, are you sure you're okay? You really could have taken the night to rest.
I might. I'll get some rest. You guys need rest too.
How are you going to hold up with this weather and not being able to see the stars?
Well, I hope it clears up, but you can sometimes see a couple of them peek through the clouds. They're still there.
Well, I was sure they're still there. I was just wondering how you feel and if that impacts you at all, because as you explained to us one time, you tend to get your power from the stars, right?
I do. Luckily I can still draw a lot of that power with things that are on my star map. There are a couple of things that I can't do, but it's not many.
Okay. So is your island that you're from like this one?
No. This is nothing like my island.
What's your island like?
Well, I guess that's not fair. I'm sure this island has good qualities. And if we stay here long enough, we can probably find nice parts of it, but it just doesn't seem very friendly, comparatively.
So what makes an island friendly?
I mean, when the grass is green and the flowers are blooming and everything's working together as it should be.
Fair enough.
What about you? I know you don't get power from the sky, but this is a different island than you've ever been to, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The only other island I've been to is, my homeland, but it's connected by a bridge, so it's not like it's really an island. Right? You can walk there and travel there. So, but yeah, it's definitely weird. Definitely not what I expected from a Savanna island. I was kind of expecting something a little different, but hopefully when the storm overhead clears and we get some good look at everything, hopefully we'll be impressed by it. I definitely just want to get to that lake though, so we at least have a marker to go off of.
That seems fair. And it looks like it's improving. Can I cast Druidcraft to make a harmless sensory effect that tells what the weather will be at this location in 24 hours?
Can you make a Constitution saving throw for me?
Yes. And this is how I die.
Oops, I rolled as Drada because I had Drada's token selected. Drada, this is not your fault.
Otto wakes up and stabs you in the back.
You cast Druidcraft and you see almost like a ball of purple, like a purple cloud appear in your hand that shifts quickly into fire and then into lightning and then into ice and then into fire again, and then your hand sort of burns, and like it's sort of like a chaos ball that you're holding, and your hand burns before you release the spell.
Mouse, are you all right?
Well, that's never happened before. What do you think that means?
It's 4 fire damage, PS.
I assumed. What does... How...
What was your spell supposed to do?
It just predicts the weather. But maybe the weather's not predictable here.
Not predictable. Trying to predict the weather killed you. And when you said earlier this wasn't a very friendly island, I think that might have been an understatement.
Yeah, well, I hope Aesop's people are okay.
Yeah, this is a rough place to be in. Between you and me, I'm not holding out a ton of hope at this point.
I mean, we have to have hope. There's nothing else here for us.
I know. And that's the scary part. Because if they couldn't get off the island... Well, on that note, I'm just going to see if I can't climb to the top of one of these boulders and look out on the horizon while I'm on watch.
Okay. You do not spot anything tremendously new or exciting. I do want to ask a question that I should have asked at the beginning of watch. Are you guys did you make a campfire?
I assumed we weren't getting a campfire in this weather, to be honest. And now that it's balls hot,
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
not planning on it.
I mean, I can just every 10 minutes cast Produce Flame.
Well, it's more about I guess I forgot about the change to heat, but just sort of acknowledging the dark vision element of your watches. But I will say, even just on a hearing-based perception, when the storm died down, it's been a pretty quiet night, and you feel probably still unsettled with the environment and uncomfortable from it, but you are able to wake up the next watch, which is Aesop. Aesop, if you could roll me a perception check, and if somebody else could roll me a d20.
I'll take the d20. Get it over and done with.
Hey, not too bad.
Hmm.
Uh-oh.
You guys really do not roll high on these d20s, PS. Could you roll
I
me?
love that for us.
Could you roll me a d10? Clax. All right. Nothing happens. I will tell you that the scorching winds sort of lasted 4 hours and then ended, but the dice roll that you just made would have created the calm winds that you're already in as a result of the scorching winds ending. So weather seems stable as you wake up, Aesop. The storm died down, and you're feeling, quote unquote, as comfortable as you can in this space,
Right.
as you take this watch.
No. It's just like musty and all my hair. I'm just like really sweaty. I'm like, oh god. It's like shedding season. Lord. I need to get rid of some of this hair. I'll actually, if it is night. I guess it's not during the day. So I won't do that. So I'll set aside like our little camping zone. Keep a watch out. I do not have dark vision. But I imagine since I'm not with anyone else, they can just try to hear if anything's coming towards us. As I'm like really going through the thoughts of, why did we come here? We shouldn't have come. This place is absolutely a hellhole. What if my parents are dead? Like, I'm literally going through like a cycle of all those questions, and none of it's being answered.
And I assume you don't stray too far from the camp. You're just sort of sitting outside.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to walk around. I can't see, so.
Yeah. Well, you don't hear anything, which is either a comfort or not, but you feel like you feel some security in knowing that your friends are able to get in as much shut-eye as they can during this time. But nothing happens.
Great.
Drada and Flint.
Pretty.
We're only rolling for the d20s I've been making you roll. It's every 4 hours. So watches do not take up that much. Watches take up a total of 8 hours. So we don't have to worry about doing that again. But if you could both roll me perception checks. Team Dark Vision, who can totally see without issue, unlike everybody else.
Do we see anything fun or funky?
Usually I let people have a chance to talk before I tell them.
Fine, I'm just stressed.
I mean, if you're just sitting there stressfully staring at the sky, I can move on.
No. Do you have any updates on what you want to name your little cannon friend?
This is a good question. I should really try and like brainstorm up some options on this.
And like, what do you want the name to like convey? Like, what should people feel when they hear this name?
I don't know. I've never really thought about other people's, perception of my, little robot. Just just been kind of a for me thing. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's fair. I guess maybe I just assume. Maybe I go at things with the intention of I know I will be perceived in some way. So how do I reflect? How do I need to adjust what I do in order to be perceived in a way that's okay? But maybe that's a me problem. I don't know.
I mean, there's probably a good balance of both. You know, I probably should care at least a little bit about how others perceive me, but
I mean, like,
probably not
you
too
have
much.
add tattoos, and I feel like those do invite attention in some way, shape, or form. That feels like is like what's the background? Like, what's the history there?
I mean, they're mostly just functional. They just sort of help me channel magic and stuff. I don't know. They kind of look cool, I think, but
I would
um,
agree.
but yeah, I originally just kind of had, come up with the idea through studying some different things, and
So, like, if you got a shitty tattoo, or like fucked up giving yourself the tattoo, it would interrupt the flow of magic.
I guess I hadn't considered that. Um, I I guess it was a good thing that I did them okay.
Yeah, because now Drod is just like, wow, you could really ruin your whole magical get up with like a late night drunk choice. Like, a tramp stamp could ruin your ability.
I mean, like these weren't your just run of the mill tattoos and stuff. You know, did a little bit of enchantment and specialized design. I don't think just your average tattoo probably is going to mess up your flow of energy
That
or
feels fair.
something. Oh,
Yeah.
how are you doing with
Um,
this place?
you know, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
That's a win. And I don't know, there's like part of me that's like peeved at Aesop for us coming here. Also, just because this is not pleasant. And also, like, I can't blame him for worrying.
We'll figure it out. Like it's gonna be fine.
It's
Like
gonna be fine.
the storm's already clearing up. Like tomorrow's
Yeah,
gonna
and it's
be
definitely not gonna come back, and there's not gonna be anything worse.
yeah.
It's gonna just be yeah, we're gonna be fine, and we're not saying this because we're fragile. At all. That'd be crazy.
Crazy.
Just self-actualize the weather. Well,
Is that not how religion works?
suppose so. You all do not hear anything, and then I don't want to cut you short if there's more that you want to talk about. But you don't hear anything, you don't see anything other than the present rising sun of a new day that is sort of casting down on the overcast sky above in a way that doesn't give the environment around you the pleasant daylight that you would like, but nonetheless does seem to be morning. Everybody may take a short rest.
I am pretty sure I know the answer to this, but I'll just check. My infusions, I can typically change them out on a long rest. Am I able to swap any of my infusions? I'm guessing no.
I'm going to say no, just because my feeling is that the upkeep of even keeping your armor and weapons functional, like cleaning out your robot from all the dust that's in it would probably eat up the time that you would normally get on such an occasion.
Okay. All right.
I don't know how many short rests we've done on Foundry, so I'm hoping that this process is
We
somewhat
lose our
easy.
temp.
No,
temp points.
no, you keep them. Yeah.
Oh, great.
So far, way better than D&D Beyond short rest
Yeah,
mechanic.
this is actually
way better.
Does it just add it automatically when you roll?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
automatically adds it, automatically subtracts how many you have, and then when you're finally done, you hit it, and that has a new day button. This is way better.
Okay, that's good. I always hate doing it on Roll20 or D&D Beyond. So
I rolled terrible on these.
whoever is done and who has not rolled a D20 yet, if you could roll me a D20.
I got it.
Big 7.
Rushing it on those D20 rolls.
Can you roll me a D10 as well?
We have not rolled higher than a 10.
Actually, I think 7's the highest, right?
Uh-huh.
It is, yeah. The calm winds continue.
Woo! Good job, Mouse.
Limited usabilities.
It is still kind of like difficult terrain, but you have full visibility of the horizon in front of you. As right now, you're sort of like eating your breakfast rations, which have been improved a little bit by the box that Blossoms gave you as you left the ship. But, and this is sort of one of your first chances to sort of see the island for what it is. From the ground perspective without the storms and in the full daylight. It is indeed a savanna sort of island, but it's almost, rather than being covered in sort of light grass and sort of bursts of trees in various places, it has more of like it's more of a floodplain almost, in that this region does not have very dense vegetation. It does not have, it's something between a swamp and a desert, with a few trees that are strangely sprouting from places that just sort of sprawled out throughout this area. You do see, with the visibility that you have now, you see kind of like the close mountains in the distance, as well as the lake that you're not actually too far away from now that you're able to see everything. But otherwise you don't see much beyond that, because there are sand dunes that do sort of cover visibility beyond a certain point. The weather is humid, but I'm getting a phone call. I'm saying no to that. The weather's humid, but somebody's phone is ringing.
What's that weird buzzing sound?
And you, in this exact moment, you feel like there's no danger. But you still have that sort of foreboding sense of not belonging in this place, or that there's something going on here.
Is it still considered rough terrain while it's nicer
Yes,
weather?
it is.
Great.
Do you guys think it would be a bad idea for me to advertise that we're here?
I feel like that has its really good things and some possibly really bad things, depending on what's out there. And unfortunately, we do not know.
I feel like that's we're gonna perish on this island unless someone finds us help with, like, quickly kind of move. Like,
Well,
if we're desperate, yeah.
do we think your average, like, so we think most of the problem here is elemental.
I'm pretty
Like,
sure.
I don't know how intelligent they are. Like,
Can they read?
that's. I would sort of guess no.
I would agree with Flint.
Aesop, roll an intelligence check.
Sure.
With a 14, elementals generally are not highly intelligent creatures. There are exceptions, you imagine. But the language that you, without being a more intelligent elemental, the languages that they would be restricted to would be within their dialect of primordial, like
Right.
Terran, Orin, and the other ones. And
I
those,
think-
those don't have written components, so.
Right. I think mouse, we would be fine. Just depends on if anything is larger, bigger, badder, more intelligent out there, and they do exist. I mean, we met them in the Earth Elemental Prison, but
I mean, why don't I just put up in the sky that Aesop's here? Be safe. Doesn't point to
Oh.
anybody, just like leaves a message.
How many words can you have?
Yeah.
10.
Should we try to convey that we're near the big lake in the
Should
what is this?
We ask for
northwest?
directions.
I imagine that the spell, you can't. It probably has a range, so you'd probably cast it above yourself in a way. I could be wrong.
I mean, it just. I'm playing on Skywrite, guys. I've been trying to work this in for a long time. 10 words form as part of the sky you can see.
Okay. Fair.
maybe try doing it as far away as possible. So we get more distance with the words. We don't know if there's any other lakes out there, so maybe we can just do a direction on where we are on the island.
Yeah, big lake in the northwest.
Sounds good.
It's time. Out time.
Does.
Okay,
Okay.
I will ritually cast Skywrite.
Oh, it's a ritual spell. Okay.
Wow!
Ritual spell.
I knew what she was talking about because I was looking through all my spells to find all the rituals to prepare today.
Like, do I have any 4th level rituals? Like, don't have any slots left. So
Okay. What do you write precisely?
I will say Aesop's by lake in northwest. Looking for you. Be safe.
I'm going to be nice and say that northwest is one word.
Mouse spelled it as one word.
The whole thing is one word, no spaces.
Which is arbitrary.
She's an intelligence 8. Her spelling's probably not great.
That's fine.
Love it. Love it.
Do you want to describe? So there is a. I will limit you in your description to say that the storm persists, but how does Mouse draw this using the elements of the storm?
Yeah, so I think sort of in the same way that she pulled star power through the clouds to create lightning last night, it's almost like the clouds from the storm descend a little bit so that the words are highlighted against the kind of backdrop of more clouds.
Okay. You, when you pull these words down and you're effective in doing so. You see, as the clouds kind of get pulled down, they are immediately kind of filled in with the gap that is created from pulling the clouds out of the sky is immediately filled in by kind of like a purple crackle of clouds that eventually turn black. But the clouds that you pull down are white and fluffy, and they have a kind of nice contrast from your perspective. And you leave it there in the sky. And you do have to concentrate on this.
It is concentration for an hour.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I think that's great. We can leave it up for an hour. We can continue.
Yeah, we probably don't want to like stop to recast it often, but if they're close enough that they could see, then maybe they'll leave a light on.
Yeah.
Well, should we start
Probably
moving
more.
again?
Like we're writing things in the sky. The weather's getting better. Everything. Listen, the ball's rolling up, y'all.
Excuse me.
Where are you heading? Is the question.
My recommendation's towards the lake. The last direction I have to peg the lake. Unless somebody has it. It's either that or we head to the ledge.
I was sort of thinking we wanted to get towards the middle of the island, so maybe we get to the edge of the lake and follow that for a bit until we continue southeast.
It's probably smart too because we just said we were by the lake.
Well, it's actually be by the lake.
Okay. Now the lakes are not specifically drawn with tiles in mind, so as I move you here, I'm not suggesting that you have dove into the lake. But you trek in a sort of eastern direction, and when you spot the lake, and are sort of, I would say during this time that I'm describing it, kind of doing a perimeter, walking a perimeter around the southern end of it. It's in this weather at this moment, it sort of has a stillness to it. It has. Somebody give me a nature check.
Eyeball mouse. I don't know if she's good at nature. Nope.
Nope.
Drada can. Drada's not
Hey,
horrible at it.
it's like Flint's okay at it. But
That's fair. Uh, this lake, I would say, sort of recalling back to time that you spent in like underground mountains, Strada. There's an element of this lake that has the feeling of an underground lake. Like it's the water that starts to trail into this river. If what Aesop told you about this place having been a desert island recently is to be believed, it doesn't make sense because it's almost like this water has eroded away rock or stone or whatnot much faster than it could have in a mountain or really anywhere that would have this sort of water works. So it's just sort of strikes you as a little bit odd as you're doing this perimeter around it that the water does seem natural for all intents and purposes. It is still in this moment, but it just doesn't make sense that it could have happened so fast.
Yo, this is some funky water. Say
Like
that.
like that water that did like reverse gravity sort of thing.
No, just in that lake shouldn't have been able to carve itself this big this quickly if this was a desert.
Hmm.
It's when I say funky, I mean like I'm not getting like not drinkable or like, ooh, there's an elemental right over there under the surface waiting to get us. I mean, maybe, who knows, but it's just odd.
Like odd, I need to be on watch. Odd, like elementals are going to come charging
As
us.
in, it wouldn't surprise me if we come across some, but I don't see any active presence of any right now.
Based on one of the experiences you all had very early in this campaign, when there were some water elementals that were looking for a particular gem, you would know that they have a keen ability to camouflage in almost any water. I recall Flint swimming into a lake and getting pulled by it.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, maybe we don't get in the lake.
No.
Yeah,
Keep a little distance.
don't touch the water yet. Let's not, no swims, no swimming.
And as you're sort of going around it and see that a river starts to form, it's not wide enough. The map isn't really to scale in the sense. It's not really wide enough that you can't get across it, at least for this river. But you do see that it does sort of, like, whereas the water in the pool is still, it does start to have a gentle flow within the water that's running into this light river that is starting to go southwestern or southeast. But it's really only about 5 feet across, and so all of you are able to jump comfortably across it, should you decide to.
Yeah, do we want to cross, or do we want to just follow the river for a time being and see where it leads us?
I think it might be best to follow it. We have a landmark at least to kind of keep going down.
Should we go ahead and cross it, still follow it, but just be on that other side? We don't know if it's going to
That's
get
where my
wider.
brain went, thinking if I feel like this might be the narrowest the river ever gets.
Maybe. Although, you said the river was flowing out of the lake, not into the lake? And it's unusual, but yeah, maybe it gets wider. Intuitively, I wouldn't think. I don't know. Regardless, let's cross it.
Okay. All right, you want me? Excuse me. I'll go first. That way, if anything jumps out, it's.
No,
got it.
Yeah, you're all able to make it across just fine. But it sounds like you're going to travel down the river now.
Yep, that's my recommendation, because I think that based on the direction it's going and from where we came on the airship, it should be taking us inland. Not sure how far inland, but
Okay. If somebody else could roll me a d20 as you go for your next 4 hours of travel.
Sure. I'll roll one. Big rolls on these dice.
It's actually impressive. Thankfully, this is
Roll
not,
a 9.
Thankfully, the table that you're rolling on is not the like fight table. It's the weather table. So go ahead and give me another d10.
Come on, another 9.
oh, 10.
Okay, 10.
Oh,
Continued calm winds.
what?
It
Oh,
seems like there's a little break in the storm in this particular area. Still uncomfortable. I want to say, like, no matter how calm the winds are this many times in a row, it's not long rest territory. This is still a harsh environment, especially traveling at kind of a burdened pace with this difficult terrain. but it does not seem like the storm is coming for you in this very moment. But you continue following the riverbed. Can you? We haven't really talked about marching order this day. So what is sort of your approach to traveling in during these conditions?
I think Mouse would, because I'm not hindered by the terrain as much as everybody else. I'm not going ahead, but I'll be in the front and at every, just trying to find the easiest path one to go through, to make that burden a little less challenging.
I pictured Clax up front, just being wary of the island and where we're at.
I think Drada is near the front, similar to yesterday or the last day of travel, just eyes constantly on the lookout, trying to scan for any changes in the environment.
And I'll have Flint in the back.
I was gonna say Flint's towards the back. He's not quick.
Okay. Mouse, go ahead and, just based on how you described you leading, if you could give me a survival check. Okay. The sort of nature of how you have all chosen to follow this river doesn't leave much room for creative thinking as a survivalist. You sort of follow the river and see what you come across. But with the 17, you sort of determine that if you wanted to, the river sort of starts to widen. You would determine if you wanted to, if you had some kind of flotation device, you probably could travel faster by, if you had like a little dinghy or boat or something, you could travel faster by taking the river south. But I'm not suggesting that you'd have to find a creative way to do that.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure I could make a raft, but I don't know how long it would take us with the limited amount of trees and whatever else here, so probably not worth the effort.
Everyone just lock arms and we'll all float down together. It'll be great.
But if you're just continuing, somebody wants to roll me another d20 for the next 4 hours?
I can do that.
Sure.
Oh, Drada, you go.
Listen, I haven't had our chance to roll less than 10 yet. I think it needs to happen.
You think now's the time? Of course. Why would you say that?
All 5 of us.
I fast forwarded time too fast. I should not do that. Go ahead and roll me a d10.
We can get another 9 or 10. 9 or 10.
Oh, okay.
That was the heat, if I remember correctly.
No, heat was 1.
Heat was 1. All right.
The storm above starts to crackle with thunder. And the darkness that is coming just as it gets later in the day starts to become eerily dark as a set of storm clouds start to form above you. The rain becomes quite heavy quite quickly. And Drada, could you roll me a dexterity saving throw?
If anybody's gonna have to do it.
Smooth.
There is a. It's sort of like, well, I'm going to say, I'm going to say Clax as well, because you guys are standing together in this sort of formation.
Dexterity saving throw, alright.
Okay.
It's almost a
Is
20.
this no, it's not just targeting me. Never mind.
No, it's what you. It's sort of like Drada. You spot this first as the clouds are rolling in, and you sort of look up at the sky as there's it's sort of like a spider senses tingle, and you back up a little bit before you can notify Clax, and there's a lightning strike that just sort of clashes into the ground. That throws Clax to the side.
Hey, there's lightning.
For six lightning damage to Clax.
Alright, reduce my temp hit points. Kind of look over at Drada like, how did you even see that coming? And then kind of dust myself up as I get up. Kind of, thanks for the warning. And kind of like knowing that even if he would have warned me, there's no way I was going to move fast enough. Like, it was just like, it's one of those measures of, that's impressive.
But this persists. Like this strikes down, and you feel just increasing sound of thunderous energy above you, and you know that if you don't sort of find any kind of shelter, that you are sort of continue to be exposed to this.
And how long have we been traveling for at this point? 8 hours?
No, you're actually. This was the fourth roll, so this is between hours 13 and 16. This is like the last trip of the day, assuming that you bed down again.
Keep an eye on, looking out for spots to crash.
Okay. 2 people can give me an investigation roll as you're sort of looking to close up for the day.
I'll take one then.
Can I guide somebody looking for things?
Sure.
I will guide Flint. Are you looking?
I indeed was.
I will guide you.
I'll make the second roll.
Okay. With a 15 being the highest, I'm going to say before you find any additional shelter, there are going to be 2 more lightning strikes that come down. You are aware of this possibility, though, so you will not. So you will have a lower DC to save from. But if we could have Mouse and sorry, I have an archaic system for this. Mouse and again Clax and Drada roll a dexterity saving throw.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
You're all able to, in this time that lightning is striking down, you're able to avoid. You kind of see like these little forming clouds of energy that seem to strike at random places, but there are times when you see the one that's just forming a little too close to you, and you're able to sort of like anticipate it and get out of the way. But as this lightning sort of strikes the ground around you, and you spend another hour trying to find a shelter from this weather effect, you find a kind of like a sand dune that has a rock outcropping that is keeping it's almost like a little bit of a canyon into a rock formation that you're able to get cover from this element as you bed down.
Phew. I don't know if I've ever seen lightning quite like that.
Yeah, that was weird. Fox, do you need help putting up the stuff today.
Sure, I'll take any help I can get.
I can reach higher up.
Great.
So how big is this island? Do we think? Does anybody have any idea?
Is it?
I mean, I know it's smaller than Ventus.
Would we have a sense of that just from flying in?
Not with the storm. I would say Aesop. I'm not even going to make you roll for this. When you were here last time, where the conditions were much less difficult, a normal day's travel would, if getting from sort of where you started perhaps to the bottom of it. I don't think that Aesop made that trip, but you would know that it would only take, a couple days for somebody to
Travel
safely
back and
come
forth.
to and from the camp, yeah.
Right.
And so it can't be more than the radius that the recovery squad would cover would be no more than 2 days. So you imagine that the island itself can only be like at most 100 miles from end to end.
I'll relay that back. Do you think it would be best to do Skyride again, or because the lightning strikes are kind of an issue, it won't really be beneficial?
I think especially with it starting to get dark, maybe wait till morning.
Yeah, fair.
I can though.
I mean, it's a ritual. Like,
I can work on
Don't
that
think I
while
can-
Clack sets up, while you guys set up the camp.
What are the watches tonight?
I can take first.
I will stick with Drata.
do second.
I'll do second with Flint.
I'll take third.
Alrighty.
Relax. Before we go to bed, or whatnot, you were just throwing 2 hand axes the other day. I have just like a crossbow in my bag of holding that I don't use. Do you want it? Just
Sure.
in case something's flying around?
Yeah, I won't say no if it's not getting any use.
I
Maybe I'll
mean,
hit up Drata for lessons one of these days.
I was
figure out how
about to say, I mean, it would be a pleasure to teach.
it's
You
just
could,
a light crossbow and 20 bolts, but it's something.
could
Yep.
attach some rope in case it's like a smaller flying creature and bring it down.
That's ambitious.
Aesop likes to think very imaginatively.
You're quick, Kevin.
I have the power to drag it from one sheet to the other, so.
Ah,
Foundry is magic. You'll have to see
It
it.
is.
Very.
Now, fighters are proficient with all weapons, but it is a dex-based weapon, so obviously it has some limitations. But okay, first watch. If the two of you could roll perception checks, and if somebody else could roll a d20.
I'll get my D20 out of the way again because we've gone through the order, right?
Oh,
I think so.
yeah, I think so. Wow.
Heyo!
Now watch it be bad.
Roll me a d10.
Just to quickly backtrack, I would have sky written in case that wasn't clear. Moved south along river. Aesop's coming.
Okay. Go ahead and keep pursue your conversations.
Hey.
Where do you want to be holed up, Rada?
I mean, it's still actively thundering and raining.
It is. Visibility is
Like,
not so much an issue, just more sound.
I guess kind of like if we're in a little canyon outcropping moment, like still under under the canyon, so we are not getting rained on, but like near the edge, I suppose, to give us the most visibility we can get.
Fair.
How are you holding up?
Barely.
Hmm.
I think I'm using well, actually I don't know what I'm using to cope right now. Seeing mouse go down like that wasn't fun, but I'm happy that I was able to get to her in time.
Yeah, I'm happy you were able to do so too. I mean, your parents, you made your parents out to sound very competent and
They are.
very capable of handling this.
No.
I mean, who knows? Maybe when we find them, like, there'll be a lovely reunion. They'll be so proud, and you came to find us. You didn't need to be worried at all. We have all of the crises under control.
Yeah. Just it's not like them to not come back in their time frame.
I mean, that sounds worrying. And
There aren't a lot of us. The neighborhood that we were staying in is basically all the houses surrounding us. That's it. That's all the Minotaurs that there are. So with that in mind, like there's a big group mentality, big community mentality. And I know that if something were to happen to one person, that everyone would rally up, but I just became worried knowing that the group hasn't come back.
that's fair, and also, like, I mean, clearly the situation has not resolved.
Yeah.
And
do you see those purple like lightning strikes?
I don't love that
clouds?
purple, not for the sky. Not for the sky.
Yeah, it was a really pretty purple though, you know? Like
Yeah, I honestly think you would look great in it. But if it's a big kind of group mentality moment, like, job isn't done, so they're all like, it makes sense that no one's come back. I think like that kind of support and community, like, is built for now and like the hard times and the big cosmic elemental struggle moments.
Yeah.
Gonna pause you there because do I actually see sorry, I think I only see, oh no, I do see both perceptions. I'm sorry.
It's the same.
Yes.
Damon, it's not great.
It's not yeah,
bad.
it's not great, but it's not awful. You don't, the problem is direction. You don't know what direction it's coming from, but you hear the sound of like and it's has to be within a couple 100 feet, otherwise you really wouldn't hear it, but you hear the sound of like rumbling earth and like bludgeoning attacks, or it sounds very faint, and for a moment you pause and you're not quite sure what it is, before you hear that there are sort of shouts in the distance. Not with a 12, not enough to perceive what is being shouted. It's sort of like like something very distant and faded. But it has the intonation of words to it, like words in common, or words in a voice that is not like a rocky crashing of stones. You're not quite sure where it is, but there's something in the distance.
Strata, do you want to look? I'll wake everyone else.
That sounds great. Yeah, I'm on it.
I'll run inside. I'll kind of pat everyone awake. As soon as everyone's like coherent enough, heard sounds, not elemental. There's fighting, there's shouting. It could be the recovery squad.
For the
All
record,
right.
in this moment, it is draw to o'clock when it comes to nighttime.
Oh yeah, baby.
Is the assumption we're all not resting in our armor? Is that?
In this situation, you probably would, because you're not going to get a good night's rest anyway.
Okay.
Okay, wait, before I would head out. Okay, so should I just go out and look on my own, and you wake everyone else up?
Oh, yeah,
Should
if
I
you could
scout a
find,
bit and report?
yeah, if you can find your way back.
You know, I'll try. I can see in the dark enough.
Okay. I can. I have one of Flint's flashlight things that Mouse used earlier, so I could always use that as a little beacon.
Yeah, what's visibility like now?
There's no dust cloud limitation. It is dark,
Right.
so everybody except for you and Flint are in the dark.
Okay, I'll be fine then.
We'll have plenty of lights. Yeah, between the flashlights and Flax's axe and things.
Beacon of light.
Well, I was also about to say I could do dancing lights because that's a cantrip. So I'll tell that to Drada. Like, I will. Oh. Okay. Okay.
I have faith in myself to be able to find y'all again. Don't risk
Okay.
exposing yourselves and turning on making yourselves a target. We don't know what's happening.
Daylight.
Yeah.
That's
Greta then rushes out into the rain and would try to make a 360 lap around the camp, trying to find out where, in a kind of wideish range, trying to figure out where sound seems to be coming from. Potentially, if it is in a canyon, to see if that becomes more clear. Any either line of sight or line of hearing.
Okay. And so you're kind of doing a perimeter check while everybody gets woken up to see if you can just extend your range.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a perception check. Okay. 22. Southeast, kind of along the edge of the river. Southwest along the edge of the river. You guys probably didn't camp directly on the river. You got out a little bit of a ways, but closer towards the river, you see a light, kind of a faint torchlight in the distance. With the 22, it is far away, so I'm not going to give you too much details. But with the 22, you see towering figures who seem to be enraptured in a combat with sort of smaller figures clashing against them. And you might be muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Had a little internet connectivity issue moment. But okay, I see a towering figure with smaller figures again.
You see several towering figures fighting many more smaller figures.
And I towering in the sense that Aesop is like a towering Minotaur-esque figure, or towering as in this is not a playable character.
Well, it's hard.
Size.
I would say it's hard. It's hard to tell because they're 300 feet away.
I would think I would report all of this then back to the group, and then say, I'm gonna run out on my own and try to get a beat on what's happening. How do y'all want to proceed?
We could follow behind you. Of course, us being slower, but we will be behind you.
I mean, if you want to go slow, and I can do my best not to be seen and can run back and meet y'all and try to give y'all the information that I can find.
Yeah, I mean, let's get moving.
Okay.
So how much of a lead are you taking, Drada?
I think I'm going over now, and I think just giving them however much time the party needs to get together and to then head out with the thought of get as close as I can without risking like exposing myself in a big way, and then knowing that it's just a straight line between us, like start heading back.
Yeah.
And then meet them where I meet them.
And I mean, you have, because of your rogue levels, you do have a little bit more speed than them, but not a tremendous amount because, of course, of this difficult terrain. So I'd say by the time you spot what's happening, you're probably only 60 feet ahead of the party, to be honest.
Okay.
But going off of your perception earlier, what sort of first dawns on you is the sound is becoming a little bit more clear, and you hear sort of the booming, deeper voice of a figure who you find to be standing kind of in the back line of a formation of other minotaurs. There, you see what is almost a phalanx of 5 minotaurs that are holding a line with these incredibly huge glaives, and they seem to be in an incredibly tight defensive formation, with this one individual who is not that much bigger than them, but seems to be in a sort of a commander position behind them, shouting orders. And what you hear, and the rest of you kind of hear this too, because hearing based, as you're stepping up, you're all able to get a little bit of clarity on this. What you're hearing, it almost sounds like a drill sergeant who is sort of you don't know the names of these people, but he's like, "Hadrin, raise your shield." And as you look, these 5 minotaurs and their captain behind them are being swarmed by these like smaller mud elementals. Although you haven't seen them, it's sort of like the ones that Clack saw being split off of the water and earth ones. And when you watch it, there's almost a majesty to it. Like they seem like this is a training day for them. They do not seem overwhelmed at all, despite the overwhelming numbers sort of present with them. For the purposes of showing you, you can tell me what you decide to do. I'm going to bring you back over to this map. It's too lazy to make a map for every little battle, but so I'm reusing some here. Are any of you carrying any kind of light at all, just so I can make sure to give you that, if so?
I think I'd be following everyone else's lead because I don't have night vision. So if we were trying to be stealthy, I would have my light concealed. If we're just hauling it, that acts as a glow. Yeah.
Well, presently, I will say, you know where to go because as you start to approach, you see the light that was called out originally. So you're like, okay, the action's in that direction. But Drada, at like sort of final detail as you decide whether to sort of turn back and bring everybody else up to speed. It seems like they're fine, but you do see that there are more mud elementals sort of trickling in the northwestern direction. It seems like there's like a steady flow of them as you're sort of observing this. But they are sort of hacking them down with relative ease, standing their ground and being coached by the one in the back.
When you say like trickling in steadily, as in like that's the direction, is the river in that direction?
You'd have to roll another perception check you'd have to investigate to really identify. You have to spend time investigating to really identify what's going on with that.
Okay.
But they're from the northwestern side. They just sort of are pouring in.
Great. I think if they have a clear, like, if my party is not that far behind me and the Minotaurs are clearly lit and visible and people are knowing where to go, Andrada is in complete darkness. I think Drada's first instinct would be to start to try to shoot and take out the ones that are trickling in.
Okay.
To not provide more information. Like, they don't need to know that. Yeah, just to help them out, but not in the most obtrusive way.
Okay. I will say, as they're getting cut down by the Minotaur, you do see that they sort of have a miniature explosion effect that coats the Minotaurs in mud that they're trying to like shake off. So which ones are you targeting in that instance?
Then in that case, yeah, if there's mud explosions happening, I would like to shoot the ones at a far enough away distance from the Minotaurs themselves that explosions would not get them.
Okay. As the rest of the party's catching up, I'm not gonna. This is one of those combats where if we actually played it out, there would be 8 billion rolls. So I want to give you just roll me 6 attack rolls as you're sort of taking the first 2 turns as your party catches up with you.
Cool.
And these would be technically all with advantage.
I was about to say, yes. Great. Great, we need that.
As Drada's rolling these, just to keep things going, you all hear the sort of arrows firing from Drada's crossbow, and you're kind of able to determine where they are. But you just sort of see them being fired into the back line of these like miniature mud elementals. And you all see, as described earlier, Aesop, you sort of, for the first time in some time, you see your people.
Right.
And none of whom you immediately recognize. You know the individual in the back to be one of the captains that you didn't really engage with too much.
Mm-hmm.
But in this particular moment, it's almost like, oh man, there's some good rolls. In this particular moment, you feel like you're watching the experts work. They are taking a few hits now and then, but they are steeling themselves and kind of seem to be pushing forward. And you hear the captain in the back sort of give that order to push. And it's sort of in this moment that they sort of like on a single initiative, mechanically speaking, start to march forward as a unit and start to cut down more and more of them. Andrada, as you're sort of firing these bolts in the back, you've functionally done enough damage in 2 turns to kill 3 of them. These are not tremendously strong things, so I'm just going to delete these 3. And the rest of you catch up to this. What do you do?
At least on Clax, then I know I'm going to charge forward as fast as I can in this crap, so I'm going to light up the axe now and run forward.
Okay.
I think we help attack.
All right. We are going to roll initiative then.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to... not everybody on this battlefield is going to have their own initiative, because that would just be a hot mess. As I figure out how to fiddle with my things that aren't showing up. There it is. Okay. At the top of the initiative, the elementals are going to attack, and at the bottom of the initiative, the minotaurs are going to attack. just for ease on this. And I will say, Drada, your Dread Ambusher is already counted for, I think, with those extra attacks.
How do I get the carousel to pop up?
They-
Never mind. It's just at the bottom.
But should I roll an extra D8 then?
Sure, yeah. That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Top of the initiative, it's Drada's turn.
Great.
You realize as Klax lights up his axe that you are slightly revealed, just sort of at the edges of his light.
Cool. I would sure try to dash into this. Not mechanically take the dash action. Move into these scrubby trees into near this boulder just to try to get away from the light. A little bit. And bonus action, hide at the top of the turn. And then take my 2 shots.
Okay, go ahead and give me the hide roll. Okay. Feel free to do that. Both shots are with the advantage now that you've successfully re-hidden. That is, of course, a hit.
Love it.
And are you generally aiming for which ones in this instance?
I'm still aiming to stop the trickle, I think.
Okay. So probably the
I
ones
don't
over
want
here.
to. I don't want to have them have to deal with arrows flying in their face and processing that new information. So the more I can simplify this for them, the more I'd like to.
Okay. I'm going to add the Dread Ambusher roll to this one because I didn't account for that earlier when I killed them. So with that, you actually do manage to just barely kill one more of them. And you position yourself for the next turn. Is that it?
I'm good.
Okay. Aesop.
Okay. I'll move myself down 15 feet because of difficult terrain. So 5, 10, 15. So I'm back in the darkness, but I can see the Minotaur, the big group light, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll scream out, "It's Aesop! We're coming in to help!" And I will throw a sacred flame at the nearest one to me. So I'll do it. That guy.
Okay. Easy enough.
That's the damage. They have to do a DC 15. Dang.
Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't have a high dex save, but unfortunately, this one in particular, perhaps alerted by your shout, who knows?
Yeah.
Seems to get out of the way, or perhaps that you just didn't have quite the aim that you wanted.
Right.
Is that your turn?
Yes.
Before the end of your turn, you do get a verbal response from the captain ordering in the back, saying, "Aesop, what are you doing here? It's not safe." But Flint, it's your turn.
I'm gonna take my 2 steps over to this big rock and just sort of post up on it. And keep things simple and just fire a firebolt at, I guess, this side one that's also the trickle, just for the time being.
Okay.
Probably doesn't hit.
My game is temporarily crashing, so what was the roll?
Well, I rolled a 10.
That's a miss, yes.
That's my turn.
Okay.
And
Mouse.
Okay, I'm gonna run forward a bit. Sorry, I didn't know I had the wrong thing selected. And then I will enter my star form as an archer and shoot at the one closest to me.
Okay. I feel like this light effect seems to be brighter than I remember it being, but we'll figure that out. 20 is a hit.
9 radiant damage as my starry archer kind of sparkles behind its arrow as it flies. And then I will also, as an action, cast Produce Flame, and I will throw a fireball at the same one if it is still alive.
It is still alive, and you may do that. Not a fireball, but a Produce Flame fireball.
Baby fireball.
Yeah. That is a hit for
Terrible damage.
big 3. They seem a little. Oops! I just did way more damage than I was supposed to. They take the full damage from that, but I will state for the record that they are not pushovers. They can take more than one hit, and so with these 2 low rolls, unfortunately, it's not quite enough to take this one down.
Like, Mouse, you're really bright. I didn't know you could shine like that.
I'm blinding even myself over here.
Can you look at the radius of that and send me a Discord message so I can fix it? Because it just seems a little bit much. I could be wrong. But Klax, it's your turn.
So because of the difficult terrain, I will use the dash action to pretty much get parallel to Mouse.
Okay.
And that is my turn.
Alrighty.
Woo, difficult terrain.
Yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately. Bottom of the initiative, the Minotaurs go. You see all of you watching that in this sort of phalanx formation. Actually, I need to look at this one in particular. And okay, they have a... Okay. As the captain seems to be shouting orders, they are... Sorry, my cat's doing stuff. As they're shouting orders, you see that they all almost like a coordinated ballet, like a martial ballet. They are taking a variety of coordinated strikes across this set of mud elementals in front of them. Collectively, they get 15 attacks. So what I'm just going to do... I'm just going to roll all those at once. And then I'm going to look at the individual dice results. And... sorry, I haven't looked at these character sheets in some time. Basically, almost all of those hit. And you see... I'm kind of roughing this because I don't want to do all the math, but you see like 7 more get cut down in this sort of bout of like a coordinated set of swings that it's almost like they're sweeping the floor with these things almost. But at the top of the initiative, there seems to be more that are coming. More that are coming in. And on their turn, they step forward. Although this one, you start to see that they seem to be getting... You guys seem to be drawing some attention from them. I'm going to go ahead and make rolls for the enemies as, Drada, you tell me what you do with your turn.
Great. Do I need to re-hide?
Because Mouse's bright light is catching you just on the... Because Mouse's bright light is catching you on the edge, you kind of have to again.
Sorry.
Delightful. Move deeper into this lovely bit of forest to get away from Mouse and all of her shining. and we hide.
Okay.
Also, yeah, in moving this way, I'm intrigued to see if there's something that these keep. There's so many D20s.
Yeah. Sorry.
Congrats on creating. To see if like these are all spawning from something. I think I'm starting to head in that direction. Anyways, stealth roll. Great.
Yeah, you are invisible, but you sort of are tripping over brush as you do so, and knowing that you're making a kind of auditory.
That's been. Oh
mess.
yeah, I'm in darkness. I don't need to do. It's fine.
You do have to still hide in order for nobody to in order for nobody to know where you are. To a degree, it's a little wishy-washy.
Okay. Well, regardless, take some shots.
Okay.
And I'll do them on that are just trickling in.
Okay. Before you take additional shots, are you trying to investigate for where they're coming from? Because that would kind of take the rest of your action, I think.
That would take the rest of my action. I don't think I'm far enough yet. At least I'm still, again, in this brush and such, so I think I'm still on team shooting some folks. The time being.
Okay. Well, if you want to investigate, you're
actually,
gonna.
No. If I need to investigate, it needs to be an action in of itself.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, fuck it. Ignore that 24.
No, we'll say that was your bonus action.
Great.
I don't know.
Yeah,
you can roll investigation.
Investigate.
Okay.
Thank you. Great.
Amazing. Gerard is having a bit of a turn. The bright lights everywhere, just sort of hitting your face.
Y'all should have let me die.
Oh
No. No.
Yeah, you know that they're still coming, and they're coming from that direction. You know that if you really put your mind to it, you'll probably be able to follow the trail that they're leaving, but you're momentarily distracted. But I believe that's your turn. So Aesop.
Yeah, can someone tell me what this number is?
It's 16, which is
Okay.
fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna move there. So we're gonna move directly below. And then Okay. I'm trying not to waste spells. So I will do.
I will say, just for the record, in all of those rolls that the enemies did, one of them hit, and it was the crit. So they feel pretty. What you're watching does not feel like a dire situation.
Okay. I'll probably continue using my Sacred Flame then. Which isn't that great, but I'm still attacking the same one.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot that it was a crit, so I had to roll another d6 for that one. Okay. Sacred Flame. It fails.
Takes 4 damage on the one that's already hit.
Yes. It still seems to be up.
I'll probably shout out, "Is everyone okay back at camp?"
He responds sort of in between shouts, sort of commanding his forces how to move and operate. He says, "We'll talk when this is over."
Got it. Sorry.
He ends and says, "Just stay safe. Seek cover if you have to." Flint.
I'm gonna go ahead and march my 2 little steps forward. Getting there. And just kind of, shield up, marching forward and taking a couple of shots, not a couple of shots, taking a shot at the one that's sort of moving in our direction.
Okay.
Not a great roll.
Yeah, that's a solid blow, though.
And unlike the entirety of our last session, I'll remember to roll my extra D8 of damage from my Eldritch. Whatever it's called.
Your arcane, whatever it is.
Yeah. Arcane firearm, maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
I think it's something like that. And
It's still
then
up, but not. But it kind of barely.
so I can telekinetic shove up to 30 feet away. Yeah, I don't think I'm quite in range. Okay. That's my turn.
Okay. Mouse.
I think you said they all look okay, but like the Minotaurs, nobody looks seriously hurt, right?
Correct. They all seem well. Roll an insight check. Okay, I would say they have taken a few hits, but they seem like battle-hardened veterans who like are not going down to a few scratches from a few little elementals. Like they seem fine.
Cool. Then I'm going to do the same thing I did last turn. I'm going to produce flame and throw it still at this front one.
Okay. That's definitely it. It's still up
Great
though.
attack rolls. Terrible damage. And then I will bonus action let my archer shoot again.
That is a hit as well, and this one does cause it to explode. Now, I wasn't rolling it in every instance, but I do want to just share that they do have a sort of death burst effect, and you see that the Minotaur next to it is able to sort of like deflect the mud that would have potentially like hardened and encased it or restrained it if it had not reacted quickly enough.
How big was the range of the death burst?
It is a 5 foot around the creature.
Cool.
So being adjacent to it.
Also going to move, but that is my turn.
Okay. Clax.
All right. Did I notice the death burst thing?
Yeah, this is all happening in the light.
Okay. Hell, it's just mud. I'm gonna go ahead and bonus action or action dash. Sorry, and I think I will. Nope, that doesn't help me move any further. So, yep, that's it. That's my turn. And I'm gonna just yell at the little thing in front of me, try and get its attention.
Bah. Okay. On their turn, if I'm being honest, I don't want to just roll a bunch of dice and show how these things just get cut down in swaths. So I'm just going to be deleting these things periodically.
You're good, DM.
But you see that they continue sort of this forward march within their formation. And the captain sort of looking towards your group seems to acknowledge that you're not backing down, but has a focus enough to he starts to shift the formation in almost like a defensive pattern as the group starts to sort of reform in a line that you can get behind. And he kind of takes his glaive, which is slightly bigger and a little bit more ornate, and cuts down this one at the back. At the top of the initiative, there are more of them coming out from the woodworks. Say, Drada, roll me a perception check. Okay, with your sort of enhanced night vision and the radius at which you can see, you notice that they are not coming from outside of your radius. They seem to be popping up from this rock here. Like like there's like mud that is almost detaching from the rock and crawling out of it. Sorry, you cut out there, but it is your turn. Well, and they're kind of coming in for various attacks, but I'm just pointing that out.
Great. With in mind, I guess like it's like mud is seeping out from the edges of this rock.
It seems so, yeah.
Cool. I guess I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna fire some arrows at the base of a rock into the soil.
Okay, go ahead and roll these one at a time, but roll me an attack roll with disadvantage to start.
Disadvantage
Correct.
with darkness. So is it just neutral?
No.
Okay.
You don't know. You don't know where you're shooting at. Is the problem?
That's so fair. That's so true. I don't like that it's true, but you're right.
Okay. With the disadvantage 18, when your arrow sinks into the ground, it sort of pierces the sort of bottom, like the cornermost intersection between rock and dirt, and you start to see the rock squirm before it stands up into the shape of an earth elemental that was sort of like disguised as this rock. And now you have sort of full knowledge of what your target is.
Great. I continue to. Sorry, there's cat drama in the background. I think I would then take second shot at this here elemental. Second of 2 shots.
That is a hit.
Great. Is this with advantage now that I know a target?
You haven't successfully rehidden yet because you rolled a natural 1 on your hide earlier.
That's so true. Well, I'll take that damage at the very least. And then we'll definitely rehide with that in mind.
Okay.
As a bonus action.
You may do so.
Well, you
uh,
just hear like muttering from the trees, like these fucking sticks.
Too many sticks.
You do still have your movement, so you know that you step on a branch. You could still take a few steps back, knowing that you've revealed yourself again.
Would love that. Yeah, we'll mosey back. Is this I guess kind of around this boulder?
Yeah. I didn't create actual walls for this map, but the boulder is tall enough to be to break line of sight. So Aesop.
Okay, let's see.
And you all, those of you without dark vision, don't see the earth elemental that popped up. In fact, I don't think Flint is close enough to see it either.
That was going to be my question on my turn.
Yeah, but you all heard the sound of like, I would say like a craggy, stony growl from that direction.
But could I understand if it said anything or too far away?
It was more of a sound, not a word.
Like an
Yeah.
They're trying to defend us, so try not to get too close. Okay, well, that won't be helpful now. Unfortunately, I'm just not super helpful at the moment.
I forgot to roll the mud guy's attacks, so ignore this. Continue.
Oh, there's 120 in there. I'm going to continue my Sacred Flame attack as I keep walking forward. Pretty good. I'll do it on. I'll point with the ruler. I'll do it in this guy.
Okay. Succeeds.
I am so not being successful right now, but that's okay. Trying my best.
You're saving spells, I understand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's all I have because I can't move with my bonus action. So
Okay. Flint.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Oops. Sorry, that was me. My bad.
I'll take my 2 steps down this way, trying to get kind of behind these guys a little bit. And I cannot see the earth elemental yet, correct?
Correct.
All right, then I'll just try and firebolt. I guess maybe this one here. Nope, probably not. That's my turn.
Okay. Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
Mouse.
I will produce flame and throw it at the one that Flint just missed.
You gonna just one up Flint like that?
Yes.
Hopefully.
oh, that's very good.
Which one was this again? Sorry, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Big was that one?
That does hit, and it does kill it. The one Minotaur in the corner does have to avoid the death burst. It's not working for some reason, but continue.
And then I will also do my chalice form, or my archer form, to the next closest one.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a halfling. Oh, I'm not that good of a halfling.
That unfortunately does not work. Or it does not hit.
I will move and light up the field.
As you do so, the captain in the back, sort of like maybe seeing the opportunity, you all sort of realize that perhaps one of the reasons he's not in the front line is A, because he's barking orders, and B, because he's holding a big torch so that everybody else can see. But he sees the opportunity to drop his torch and kind of come into the fray. It's still technically there, I will say. But the groaning noise from the back, you all feel kind of like a Pokemon dig attack. There is a mound of earth that starts moving forward to crash against these front lines. As
Holy
this
crap.
earth elemental closes in and attempts to make a series of slam attacks against the phalanx of these minotaurs. It has 2 attacks. Natural 1. And a natural not very high either. So you all watch. I think Clax would probably have the most appreciation for it as a martial person, but these minotaurs are bigger than Aesop, but more in the muscular sense. Not like they have a presence of a large creature, but they aren't like 10 by 10 huge hulking creatures. They, with their glaives, have sort of like tremendous a tremendous ability to sort of form a almost shield wall with them. And you see that the 2 who are standing next to each other are able to sort of like deflect with one another as this earth elemental charges them. They seem to be getting some kind of buff just from standing next to each other, to be clear. But Clax, it's your turn. And you saw this earth elemental sort of crashing near you, but seems to be not focused on you at all.
Oh, I am absolutely taking advantage of that. So first thing to do is going to attempt to strike with my axe.
Okay.
So first attack. Not even gonna. Do I expend a superiority die? Give me 1 second. The D8, if I remember correctly. So I'm just trying to think. D8. It's a gamble. It's probably no. I'll let that go. I imagine I miss.
You do miss with a 9, yes.
All right. Then second attack.
Hey.
Woo!
All right, there we go. Damage isn't great, but so go ahead and hit with that. Now that I hit, bonus action. I want to shield. Use my shield to try to knock it prone.
Okay.
So use my bonus action to shove it. I always see this. Why I always pull it up. Where is it? I always have it up. Where'd shove go? Shoving creature. All right. Using it, so pretty much attack action. So it's must be. Oh, is it more than one size larger than me?
No, it's only one size larger.
All right. So I imagine it's gonna be athletics versus athletics.
Yes.
All right. That's why I always bring it up because I'm like, I'm gonna use this. Oh, that's pretty good. All right.
You got this, class. You got this.
Athletics. Come on, roll big. Nope.
No.
Dang.
Sadly, no.
Okay. But then I will, because this is fun. I'm gonna action surge.
Hey.
Ooh.
Burn that. Okay, and then I will go ahead and attack twice more.
Okay.
First attack. Garbage. I will burn a precision attack.
Okay.
See, I always hated that it does that. All right, I need to figure out. Sorry. I need to figure out what that is. Sorry.
No, it's
superior die.
yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I might be able to code that in differently. That does hit.
All right. So, again, damage was garbage, but and then I will go ahead and attack with my second one. There we go. 21 for 10.
Okay.
So, all in all, 17, 24. Yeah, that's it. 24 damage, but
Yes, I've been doing it incrementally. I will say, just on the off chance I have not shared this, on the off chance you didn't know this, when you crit, you can choose to then use your menacing attack so that you can double the superiority dice damage of your menacing attack.
Yep.
Because your menacing attack, your menacing attack adds a d8 damage to the roll, which, like, in these cases, you could double it on a crit.
Yeah, because it's when you hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you.
So you can use that in the future if you want, but I just want to make sure you knew that.
Nope, I did not even think about it that way. I was only looking at it really from the frightened aspect. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Drada, it is your turn.
So, given that Drada continues to step on twigs, in a la Scooby-Doo kind of fashion, I think we're not gonna hide. I think we will cast Hunter's Mark now that there's a lovely big baddie on the scene, and we will take 2 attacks.
Okay. And I will state for the record that, technically, okay, we'll go ahead and resolve your turn. I skipped all of their turns because they're not on the initiative.
Oh.
But a
Right.
14 does not hit.
That's rude, but we have a second one.
An 18 does hit.
Great, and because Clax is within 5 feet, I will sneak attack.
Yes.
And these also, and because Hunter's Mark, an additional d6, so it's 3d6 added.
Correct. Okay.
Great.
That's not nothing.
So a sick 12 damage. And I guess I mosey just a little bit to keep distance but maintain the eye, line of sight on our big friend.
Okay. Now, rewinding time a bit. First of all, so the little mud creature's turns. Well, no, first it would be the Minotaur's turns because they're at the end of the initiative. These 3 would easily get cut down by the formation. And then these 2 Minotaur would each get a swing, get 3 swings on the big one. I don't know why that's with advantage. Just DM rolling his own dice. Give me a moment.
Making me look like a bitch. Oh, wow.
These are not magical weapons. They are dealing half every time. I will
No, just the fact that damage rolls were above like a 2 is amazing.
say. I'm going to do the math on that in a second, but this thing's looking pretty hurt after this sweeping series of attacks. And you also notice at the top of the initiative, when the mud creatures would get their turn, that no more are being spawned. However, these 3 do rush forward. I will say that this one, probably in the effort to flank its friend, in order to flank the boss, would go in that direction. So one of these attacks is actually coming towards Klax.
Mm-hmm.
For a big 12, so that misses.
I will go ahead and riposte.
Sure.
And so rather than clicking it there, I will actually click. Actually, hold on 1 sec. Sorry. Yeah, I get to add to the die. So let's go ahead and do the superiority die first, because I always forget this. Okay, so there's the riposte dice, and then attack it. I don't think I really needed the extra, but 32 to hit.
That does hit.
Forgetfully, the damage was garbage yet again, but
You know, it's magical damage, so it counts for twice as much as some of the other
Yeah.
people on the battlefield. So,
appreciate you trying to make me feel better.
But so we had already done Drada's turn. Now it is Aesop's turn.
Okay. Seeing as how they can easily cut into the thing, I was going to use Fairy Fire to give everyone advantage. I feel like I could still use that. Or do I just save all of my spell slots?
I am
That is
saving
the
mine.
question. So I will continue my Sacred Flame. Garbage roll, but I'll do it on the I'll do it on this. Oh, am I paying this guy? Oh, I don't know what I did, but yes, this guy. I
The
don't know if
top
you can
one.
see that. Yeah, there
Yes.
you go.
Okay.
How do I get rid of that now?
Oh, that's the wrong person.
Goodness
I
gracious!
saw 20. I was all excited.
Nope.
I'm just. I can move, so I'll do that. I'll get 1, 2, 3. There we go.
Okay. I believe it's Flint's turn.
Yep. Take my 2 steps back into safety, hide behind Aesop, I guess. And I'll take a shot at the big one.
Okay.
Jeez, these rolls have been terrible.
Awful.
Yeah. These.
I think I've attacked like 4 times and hit once.
Yeah. Your guys' dice have
Doing
not
great
been
as a
amazing.
collective.
Yeah. No. That's my turn.
Okay. Mouse.
I will start by using my archer against the big guy.
Okay. That's a hit.
Damage rolls are so bad, though.
I know, they're so bad tonight. And then
Yep.
I will actually guiding bolt him.
Okay.
Maybe?
That's a hit.
Hey, and
Hey.
the damage roll.
Other damage too.
Damn it, his
Uh,
roll actually did something.
And it
Oh,
is
fuck
it is
yeah.
enough to destroy it.
Wow.
Please tell me how your guiding bolt destroys this earthen creature.
As I release the guiding bolt, I shout, "Hey, Klax, I'm trying to give you advantage!" And my, shooting star energy shoots out and just knocks him over.
he, I suppose this genderless elemental, as far as you know, so maybe not he, gets hit by this guiding bolt and starts to glow, a similar sort of starry glow to Mouse's form, and almost in a daze, it like sort of stands up and then falls over. But as it hits the ground, it just sort of turns into debris, a gravel debris of stone. And in that moment as well, the mud creatures that are next to it sort of just like they lose their solid state that they were able to maintain to keep upright, and almost kind of like clay that has become too saturated with the water, they just kind of like melt into pools of mud.
I look over at Mouse like, yeah!
Is everybody okay?
I can't hit a
Bang.
damn thing, but yes.
Y'all are lucky we showed up.
Flint, be quiet.
Let's take a quick break,
Yes.
and we will get into what happens after this combat.
Great.
So we'll be right back.
All right.
Okay, so my character token is like pinged for some reason, has the triangles going into it.
That's fine. Um,
Great.
So you all return to this sort of post-combat moment. The individual who seems to be in charge sort of starts barking off orders. He looks to his soldiers for lack of what most of you know, and sort of says, "Establish a perimeter. Make sure all is safe. Batten it down. We're gonna rest here for the night." And then they all sort of like nod in affirmation and start to sort of establish, like, they're sort of checking to make sure that everything seems to be safe. Before he approaches you, he kind of picks up his torch so that he can not necessarily rely on Mouse's light in this moment.
There is a nice little canyon that's like only a couple hundred yards from here. That's a couple hundred feet. That's, you know, a little bit more sheltered from the elements if we all want to move there.
He looks at you, completely towering over you in every way, but not in a disrespectful way. Kind of looks down and says, "Once the area is safe, if you could lead us there, we're just going to make sure everything has died down first."
Now you said, oh, sorry, continue.
But first, he's sort of scanning all of you in this moment, now for the first time, analyzing who all is here. I assume Drada has perhaps stepped out of the shadows at this point.
Yeah, sure.
You tell me. Sort of assesses you all and says, "But first, I suppose I should ask, are you all okay? Do you need anything?"
No, we can take care of ourselves pretty well. I think we're all good.
Do I recognize this captain? I think you said earlier that I do not.
You've probably seen him, but you have never been introduced. But you see that he seems to recognize you. It doesn't, or at least he recognizes that you are also a Minotaur.
I feel like Aesop's on the verge of tears and very much is going to come up to the captain, who he doesn't really know really well, and like offer to like do like a big bear hug around him as I'm like crying on him.
I mean, are you offering or are you just hugging him?
I think I'm just hugging him at this point. You know?
Okay. I think the rest of you, from this perspective, sort of see a confused look on this older Minotaur's face who's just being hugged. He's still holding like a bright torch in one hand and a giant glaive in the other, and is not, at the very least, he's not in the position to necessarily reciprocate. But he says,
I'm just happy to see that there are some Minotaurs still alive.
Did you expect otherwise?
Well,
he says it in an almost cocky way.
We come back to Constance and everyone's gone, including my parents. And then I come to find out that you guys are late coming back home. I was going through the worst scenarios in my head.
He kind of like doesn't push you off, but sort of like gently brings you off of his body,
Right.
to sort of look at you in the eyes and says, "The son of Tirok, then. Well, yes, all is well. We are busy here. Your concern is appreciated, but I fear that you've made a mistake coming here. You've put yourself in danger." He sort of looks down at Mouse and says, "But," he says, "you can take care of yourself. Nonetheless, it's not safe here. We should get you back to camp."
Yeah, sounds good.
How much? So, Aesop's like the only Minotaur I've basically ever met.
Except the one administrative officer,
Yeah.
Muru with the horns, yes.
Gotten pretty comfortable with like Aesop's size and demeanor. How much did these minotaurs differ?
Aesop, I mean, so in D&D terms, they are large creatures, but I sort of fumbled through my description that they're only maybe about 20 or 30% bigger than Aesop, but they have a presence that, especially with their like martial prowess, that sort of gives them the ability to command a greater amount of space. They seem much more on the muscular side. And additionally, of note, they all have one tail, whereas Aesop has two. All of these ones are clad in... they're clad in a kind of just standard breastplate. And the large glaives that they carry has almost a buckler, like a smaller shield attached to it. So they've been in this sort of combat. They've been using these larger glaives as a two-handed weapon, but it sort of also using them as in a sort of defensive posture at the same time. So they're pretty, I would say, at first glance, they are larger and perhaps more physically powerful than Aesop. Your read on that can be what it is, though.
Fair.
And he sort of looks all and says, and then sort of looks down at Aesop and says, "I don't suppose I've ever formally introduced myself, but I am Captain Eridanen."
Aesop. Just kind of like hold the hand that has the torch on it. Just.
And he just sort of pats you on the shoulder and looks to the rest of your group and says, "If we could find this cover, then we will make camp and set out first thing in the morning."
Sounds like a plan. And while we're moving, know thy enemy on the cap.
What do you want to know?
Total levels and fighter, greater or lower than mine.
Greater.
Kind of assumed by what they did and how they dispatched it. And then let's go with, I know that will be higher. So let's go with his strength score out of curiosity. Higher or lower than mine?
Higher.
All right. Thank you very much.
Give me an insight check just to add on to the know your enemy a little bit.
Insight. Come on, straight roll. Give me big number, big number, big number. All right. All right.
You don't know exactly what these guys are capable of, but they are, the way that they operated is perhaps the most well-trained force you've seen.
Even more than the unifiers and
Yes. And I would say, and I'm not talking about their individual strength, but their strength as a group.
Yep.
One of my inspirations for designing their character sheets, I know that because I know that you know Warhammer.
Yep.
These are like the unifiers are Space Marines. These are Terminators.
got it.
They have a sort of bulky presence and squadron power to them that they're in the numbers that they present are taking on one would be difficult for the average person. Taking on a group of them would be impossible for most people.
Great analogy. Got it.
But they walk towards the cover that you presented, and Eridanen sort of signals to his people a sort of watch order as he sees the sort of makeshift camp that you've made. And he whistles to one of them, who starts to pull out a kind of like larger red tent in a bag, and sort of starts to set up posts around this rock canyon formation that you found, so that there's a little bit additional shelter just sort of expanding the cover that you guys have from the storm.
Offer any help I can for the setup of that.
Same.
Both of you roll me an insight check.
Yep, back to normal.
I like the you're sort of politely told not to help.
Got it.
With your rolls, you don't necessarily read it, but above board, they have a way of doing things, and you're not really part of that. But the captain is sort of with you while this is being set up, and is sort of looking up at the sky and says, "We should be able to reach camp within another day or so."
Is it near the middle of the island?
Yes. We have set up a larger encampment, our base of operations, within an oasis that we found.
You know what's going on here? Like, this seems more extreme than most were expecting.
Yeah, the vibes are harsh, to say the least.
He kind of considers you for a moment and says, "Perhaps we will speak about this in the morning. I think it is getting late."
Captain, if you are on watch, if you don't mind a quick chat tonight.
Of course. We will take care of the watches, but you're welcome to stay up if you so choose. They functionally, over the course of 20 minutes, set up a tent and light furnishings that are, just kind of like bigger bedrolls, for lack of a better word. But being under the tent, you're able to escape the rain that's coming down from the thunderstorms from before. Does everybody except Aesop just sort of take them up on that, or is anybody staying up?
I will be sleeping as much as possible.
I would probably stay up through my watch.
Now I'm torn. If I see the big guy's taking a watch, I kind of want to stay up with the big guy. If he's not taking a watch, I'm sleeping.
Okay.
I think Drada
Or-
is. Yeah, I think Drada would kind of lurk for a bit and just try to observe and like this really organized force and just try to see their structures and their ways and sneaky in the background, and then would zonk the fuck out afterwards.
Okay. Let's just continue with the watch order as is then, but we'll let Aesop do the talking for first watch at least. You guys are already... this all happened like halfway through your first watch, and the combat was not long enough to interrupt your short rest, but go ahead and the captain sort of walks outside the tent to check on his soldiers, and Aesop, you sort of follow him out. As you see, there are several sort of torches set up at a perimeter so that everybody can see.
I know I didn't follow the path that my parents took, but help me understand the situation here. What's it looking like?
It is difficult to explain. He's sort of thinking. The read on his face is not that he's trying to hide information from you, but that he's trying to figure out how to frame it. We've had trouble discerning the cause of this, and our ability to reach out and communicate with any primordials we've come across has been ineffective so far. It is difficult to diagnose, and so we persist, as we always do.
We've experienced the same thing. We got attacked by a storm crow almost right after we landed here, and I tried.
He sort of interrupts you and says, "And you survived?
I mean, we're here.
What happened?"
Well, we got attacked by a giant storm crow. I don't know if you guys seen those yet, but they're not fun at all. Almost took one of us out, but I was able to revive them, heal them back up.
So you fought it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
We didn't really have a choice necessarily. Kind of knew where we were. But
he sort of pauses and says, "They come and go. We've determined that although their presence can be painful, so long as you do not directly attack, they don't seem to know that you're there. If one passes by you, plug your ears, get to ground, and it will leave, generally."
Kind of chuckle at the cover your ears part. Unfortunately, we didn't know that at the time, but we did dissipate it because it kind of poofed into air.
Well, your friend is not lying, then you all can take care of yourselves.
Yeah. I understand that you may think that us coming here is a mistake, but I came into the city thinking that I would be able to see everyone. Of course, you all have a mission and goals and an organization to work for, but finding out that everyone's late coming back home had me worried, and unfortunately there's just not a whole lot of us left. And I know that there's a community within us. There's a community practice. We take care of we take care of each other. And I didn't know what I was going into coming here, of course, it being a freaking mess, but I had to find out. I had to make sure everyone, specifically my parents, sorry, but was okay.
Your concern is appreciated. I was harsh in saying what I said, but it was of concern for your safety.
I understand.
If you were concerned for your parents, understand that they will probably find it difficult to know of your presence here, as they will worry about you. If they don't know already. He sort of looks up at the sky, and although it's gone, you know that the skyrite was up there once upon a time.
Mm-hmm.
But we will see that you get home safe, and in time, ideally, we can all return, but it has been, well, it's been difficult, but I'm afraid it's not up to me to share mission details as candidly as you may wish.
Have you seen the purple lightning? The purple...
Yes, it's troubling.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's not in the primordial realm of what we're used to dealing with.
Your studies may prove useful. We have limited people who have such understanding of primordial as you seem to. He sort of like taps on his weapon and says, "Our skills tend to go elsewhere. So if there's anything that you've learned in your time at Titlefall, I believe, then
Yeah.
perhaps it would be wise to bring you to General Hardak.
Ah, yes. I remember him.
But for now, I encourage that you and your friends get some rest.
Let us know if you need anything.
He nods
Oh, wow.
respectfully, but you know he's not going to ask.
Yeah. Then I'll head back to the camp.
Say, Drada, you heard as much of that as you want to, because it was your watch and you said you were snooping.
Great.
Um,
I'd love to hear it.
Flint and Mouse, if there's anything you would do, or if you would want to be awoken for watch, let me know.
I guess to start, am I awakened early enough to still catch that general guy before he's off to bed?
I would say so, yes. And by the way, if somebody could roll me a d20 for me, if you don't mind.
Jeez.
Somebody who has not done it recently.
Sure.
I
Oh,
already did my 2 for the night.
Well, not you, Eric, because it's your
All right.
watch. Art is going to do it. Okay.
Roll 1d20. Boop.
All right, that's our first one above
It's
a 10.
above
I
a
believe?
10.
Now, I will say, you're still rolling on the weather table, but that's because you subtract 5 from these rolls when you're not searching or traveling. So if you could roll me another d10.
So we didn't get above a 10 is what he's saying.
Yes. It's sort of like if you're actually exploring, you have a chance to roll on the exploration tables.
All right, 8, that's good, that's good.
Okay, clear skies.
Ooh.
Alright.
Delightful.
As you close out the final bouts of these watches. But Flint, you are able to catch
Yeah.
Captain Eridonin if you would like.
I would maybe just, try and catch him. I should write that name down. Would you say it was Eridonin?
He put in chat, I believe.
Yeah.
All right.
I was off by
Um,
like 6 letters, so.
Yeah, I would have been. I would just catch him on it, as he's maybe heading in for his rest or something like that, and just be like, "Hey, I know we're a little less conventional of a, military force or whatever than you all, but we are here to help, and I wouldn't count Aesop out. He helps. He's pretty instrumental in clearing up an elemental disturbance in Horizon. So you have some expertise, or we can get things done."
Roll a persuasion check. It's not that he doesn't believe you.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, how does your voice carry? Okay. Flash
How
of
do I
genius.
how do I use Flash of Genius in this situation is the problem. On a persuasion check, I just stand up a little taller and
Yeah.
look him in the eye and stuff.
I'd say you don't have to describe it for yourself. Let's
Fair.
simplify it. It's if you're adding to somebody else's, you have to find a way to add to the conversation.
Fair enough.
So 18.
18, yeah.
He considers you and says, "Understood. I will not underestimate you or Aesop or your party, but understand that we are a very disciplined group, and we are most effective by standing besides those who have been trained in our ways."
Certainly. I can respect that, and we'll try and stay out of your way in that respect. Just, there are ways we can help. Like, we've had some success in this kind of stuff before, and it seems like something strange is going on here. So,
Understood.
beyond that, Flint would probably spend, his watch trying to look useful, he'd probably be like working on his breastplate and like looking like he, is working, but also trying to just keep an eye on these guys and seeing how, maybe what sorts of things they do differently in this place that's helping them to survive better than we are.
Okay, roll a perception check or an insight check or some kind of roll that is sizing up their situation.
Sure.
Okay. I'll give you something small, but you see that their hooves, that they all seem to be wearing the equivalent of like snowshoes, except for the sand. And when you're sort of assessing the way that they walked throughout this space, you know that they are not treating this as difficult terrain. Clax, anything you want to, Clax or Mouse, anything you want to do during watches? I would say after Flint's watch, the captain does trade off with another Minotaur who just sort of doesn't seem to be ranking in any way, but is perhaps deputized to watch for the night.
Mouse, you want to go first?
Sure. I think Mouse isn't contributing to a watch, but she might wake up a little bit before everyone else and just go off by herself, not outside of camp. She's not dumb, but like just to have a little moment and think about what it means to be close to death.
It occurs to Mouse, perhaps, that trying to find it. Go and roll me a perception check.
You betcha.
Okay. With the clear skies, the storm does abate somewhat in the sky, and you catch another glimpse of a star that you've seen before, the Crimson Guardian, the sort of bright, glowing red star in the sky that I previously described as being a warning to mortals for those who dare venture to the lands of the dead, and people who see the star are on a path towards an early demise. If you could roll me a charisma saving throw, that would be great.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, poor Mouse. Tries to predict the weather, takes a bunch of damage, look at the
Trying
stars.
to look at those stars. Have an existential crisis.
You are considered frightened after seeing the star in the sky for the next 24 hours.
Cool. I'm frightened of the star, or just
It's the star is an omen that you wouldn't normally pay credence to, but the fact that you came so close to death, and you think back on the stories that Olive would tell you, and the fact that you just see the star in the sky in this moment is itself frightening. As far as the rules with being frightened, you can move in any direction you want, but as long as the star is like in your line of sight, you would be frightened of it.
Mouse does not like this.
And I would imagine that you tell me, are you frightened enough to go sleep in the tent?
Yeah, I would probably go, like, not by any means wake anybody up, but I would kind of go either up next to Clax or next to Aesop.
Okay. Clax.
So Klax would just be replaying the fight, and if I remember correctly, when he got close to it, you mentioned kind of how they were working as a phalanx and how they definitely got bonuses by being next to each other. So the nameless guy on watch just peppering with questions like, so how do you know what's going to happen here? What do you do when your enemy does this? And just battlefield tactics, squad tactics. Well, actually, really squad tactics, because Klax doesn't have battlefield experience. He has squad experience. And just kind of peppering with all kinds of different questions, like how do you guys translate this, blah, blah. And just really trying to glean an insight from how they moved and act as one unit.
Roll me persuasion.
Natural
give
20.
me your secrets.
Yeah, I don't know if I've actually tried maybe once before. Hey, for me, I'm happy. Might not be for the DM, but
yeah. I think that Klax is perhaps too eager in asking questions, and he doesn't even get the chance to answer them before you ask the next one. And they eventually sort of hold a hand to interrupt you and say, I am sorry, I'm supposed to be keeping a watch.
But I'm here to help you too. I'm keeping an eye out as well.
The impression,
All right, I get it.
perhaps
Tomorrow.
perhaps ask the captain or one of the other captains back at camp.
Will do.
See Captain Niana, she does the training. She's in charge of the training.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Knowing that my time is done, I will go find my corner to take watch and just kind of keep a lookout.
Okay.
Occasionally glance back over my shoulder. Glaives. Maybe I should use a glaive. But I can't use a shield. But...
I can make it glow.
I will give Klax a little bit more nostalgia too, because I think in your consonants backstory there was that guard force that was really known for polearms.
Yeah.
And so you probably just think back on that a little bit and how like revered it is, or how revered it can be to be like, it's almost like it's almost like a little bit of a inspiring thing to think about, to be like the heroes who
Guardians. That's what it was.
Yeah. To be like the heroes that have defended the city before. But the next morning comes, and in this moment, as you're sort of waking up and having a bit of breakfast, the skies are clear. The camp is starting to be packed up, and the captain sort of comes to the group and sort of says, we'll be setting off soon. We have a couple extra of these, and sort of opens a bag and shows you a suite of these like snowshoes that they're wearing, and says, perhaps in this time it may be wise for you to cut these down to size before we set off.
I'll grab a pair, as they're probably fitted more to Minotaur hooves.
Yeah, I think you would have no issue grabbing a pair, but everybody, Klax probably could.
I'm
Yeah.
6'10".
They're kind of like adjustable straps, and so it's like the base of them is enough to sort of work with your guys' feet. The rest of you, they kind of need to be trimmed a bit, and you probably need to poke some holes in the straps so that they're able to wind more tightly around your ankles.
We'll work on customizing a few pair.
Yeah.
Sorry, 6'7".
I'm probably good.
That's fair. Mouse didn't need them.
I'm assuming that rest was a short rest.
Yes, it was a short rest.
All right.
So you may all take a short rest if you would like.
I don't know that I can get anything back on
Yeah,
short
and you
rest.
don't get your hit dice back, so it's sort of,
Just
I
that wild
didn't.
shape.
that's not nothing.
I didn't use all my hit
So-
dice. I'm gonna use one more.
Loving being a fighter right now. Just saying.
On the short rest like button, there is Is it a new day? Do you want to recover limited use abilities which recharge per day? Are we
That you can check that. The Foundry's
Okay.
coded to have certain things recharge on a day versus a long rest.
Like for me, it's inspiration that gets recharged if I use it.
Yeah. And you don't have to roll for this crafting either. It's all pretty simple stuff, especially for flint. This is like, you're just poking holes in things and trimming it. It's not that hard at all. You're not a leather person, but you don't have to.
Nope.
And the captain sort of comes up to you as things start to get packed up and says, "In my team, we take the stealthy approach. So please stick with us. We will be trying to keep... It'll take longer to get back, but we are able to avoid danger quite reliably."
You got it.
Functionally, he's going to...
Who was behind this man just goes, word.
Functionally, he makes you travel at the same speed as difficult terrain, because hiding does generally keep you at half speed, although we hand wave it sometimes. But you see, he does cast Pass Without a Trace on the party. So if we could all do a group stealth check as we move forward with this leg of the adventure.
I need to roll disadvantage on mine, though.
For the heavy armor?
Yep.
Okay.
It sucks.
Oh.
17. All right, still 13. I'll take that. So 16
Plus
total
10.
plus 10, so 26. 26 for the guy in big heavy armor. All right.
Meanwhile, I got 2 2s.
Oh no.
Plus 10.
Fair. Big 14.
Let me at least just roll for him. He and his team, in the sort of formation that you saw before, kind of create a shield wall to push down the river. You do see that they are staying on the side of the river that you had crossed to, so that's good. But let's have Millie, Jacob, and Eric roll me a d20 for this day's travel. Okay.
That one.
Mouse and Drada roll another d20. Okay. So, okay, now all of you roll a d10. The three of you. I have my tables.
It sort of feels like the grown-up version of playing MASH.
I don't know what that is, I'm afraid.
Try that.
Oh, I'm too old.
Okay, we have 6, 7, and 7 for Mouse, which is on a different table. So with the weather, the clear winds the calm winds do eventually transition into a steady rain. It's not tremendously windy, it's not tremendously noisy, but you all end up over time becoming quite soaked. The captain does have you push on, but mechanically, I will say, this sort of rain does have fire damage during this rain, because everything is wet and fire is not sticking as well as it would normally. Sticking, for lack of a better word.
Okay, so the fire damage we would do would be halved.
Yes, would be halved.
All right.
It's just like the general humidity of this environment, the general just like everything's wet.
This place does not like me.
You're not this does not like anybody. I want to be clear.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
During this time, so I've described this as the captain and his team taking a leading position, but tell me, what sort of supporting roles do you guys try to fit into? Are people trying to scout, or are people trying to stay safe? Mostly.
If those are the two options,
or whatever it would be that you do, they're not going to welcome you into their formation. They seem to have a process that they're following. But if there's something else you would like to do to support, let me know.
The support, no. Clax would really just be studying, like, what makes this such a unique force. Like, so you mentioned they have their formation for marching. What does their formation for marching look like? Do they have the equipment spread out evenly across the group? Do they have one person carrying more? Like, just really just trying to pick this apart. So I don't know how helpful that is. So it might be non-helpful at all, but that's what Clax would be doing.
Okay.
Flint probably feels like they have most of the like scouting and whatever covered, and it's probably just trying to keep an eye on like the terrain and the just weather and whatever, and just trying to get any sense he can for what's going on here, or what's wrong with the environment. What is the if he spots any clues to help with just what sort of elemental disturbance is here. Not that I think he's going to find anything, but he's just keeping an eye on us.
Okay.
Walk along.
I think Rada is caught between, I think, similarly to Flint, just knowing that they've probably got things down pat, but giving a good look-see, trying to keep on like alert, to see if there are any changes in the environment, like to trying to be on them quick, and also paying somewhat close attention to Aesop, just in how does he look like he's doing now that he's found the people he's been looking for so long and has been very worried about? Is he hanging in okay?
I would say I'm doing better now that we met them, but I think I'm still a little on edge, as everyone is being on the island, and you can probably see that on my face as I'm like, particularly after our discussion about the crow, looking at the skies again in case more come now that rain has started to come again. And like, I don't have to prepare spells as a bard, but just like ready to like cast. So I'm more of a support.
I think Mouse is really confused by and a little off-put by this strong exclusionary power structure that the Minotaurs seem to have. So she's gonna just stay out of that and kind of linger back behind everybody and look for edibles.
Okay. Clax. One thing, you actually reminded me about an ability that I forgot Eridonin had. As part of his phalanx, the Minotaur are actually able to move at full speed while stealthing. So you're actually ahead of schedule despite all these rolls, and we'll resolve that in a moment. But the way that you're able to sort of monitor what they're doing is that he seems to be like the ranger, sort of like taking a ranger role with this squad, and has them sort of within kind of two smaller groups of three. They are sort of like running up behind a boulder, doing a spot check ahead, waving the next group forward. So they're kind of like leapfrogging their positions in order to keep up time and to keep up momentum as you all travel forward. That's sort of what you're able to glean when you're spending this sort of intention with them. But their movements and whatnot just seem very organized. I previously described it as a ballet, but these are forms that they have practiced and disciplined on for what you imagine to be quite some time. Flint, I would say, with the... Go ahead and roll me an Arcana check with your trying to discern weather and oddness. It's not... whatever is happening here, you are sort of able to glean that the rain has a bit... I think like during this time you'd maybe casted detect magic just sometime during this thing, and you would sort of discern that the rain itself has a magical quality to it. And in the time that you're sort of like doing this patrol, you see that the ground is almost enchanted by it. You're just thinking with the 21, you're kind of thinking about it, and you're wondering if that's sort of like what's attributing to the growth. If this place used to be a desert, then something is actively growing the island through arcane means. But that also there's a ping of it that feels wrong. It feels like it's happening too fast or too unnaturally. And that's sort of like the first clue you can get in this sort of amount of time.
Yeah.
It sounded like, for the most part, that everybody else was sort of minding their own business, but sort of like just sizing up each other and figuring out what your guys' place is in this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to have forgotten anything. But at some point during this travel, Eridanen doesn't hear back from the forward party, one of the 3 Minotaurs who gets sent forward. And he sort of indicates to you all, he says, "Wait here. I'll be right back." And he sort of darts forward to go find them. And the way that they've been doing this, it's sort of like, 2 minutes between spottings, and it's just like, it's almost like they missed a drum beat. He just, something has registered to him, and he's going to go check it out.
Do we hear anything? Like any fighting, clashing, sounds of pain?
No. Roll me a perception check. I will say in this moment that he has left 2 Minotaurs with you. So there are still 2 of his soldiers. With a 7, I don't think you hear anything.
Guess we just wait, because I don't want to disrupt what their formation is.
I'm gonna go ahead and get my shield and max at the ready.
Hands on crossbow, but not taking further action.
Okay. One other person, can you roll me a perception check as you just sort of like ready yourselves?
Sure.
Oh, go for it.
No.
Almost 20.
You do not hear anything. The sound of the rain is not overwhelming, but it is just sort of, it is enough to keep you from picking anything up. 5 minutes pass, and you see the captain return, and sort of nods to you all. Says, "Coast is clear. We can continue."
Does he come back with the other 3?
No. But the way that they've been operating, they're sort of in the forward position, and then you guys leapfrog past them.
Okay.
As you all walk past, you see the rubble of what seemed to be another earth elemental, sort of strewn about, and the 3 who are there, sort of like bandaging some light wounds that they have. As you sort of pass this like small bit of destruction to continue forward. Somebody roll me one, because I forgot that they're moving at full speed actually. Somebody roll me one last weather check. As we're closing out the day.
Has everybody taken their second roll?
Mm-hmm.
Eesh.
What was that, Jacob?
Yes.
All right, then I guess
I nominate.
good.
Yes.
Below 10 again.
Yep. Roll me. Yeah.
I love us.
Roll me a d10.
All right.
It's the thunderstorm.
Love.
But
Hmm.
so a lightning strike comes down as the captain urges you onward and says, "We're almost there," and sort of encourages you to keep going forward. So there is 2 thunderbolts that hit. This is going to be Flint and Drada. If you could both roll me a dexterity saving throw.
Pleasure.
Hey. Flint, if you could enjoy 5 lightning damage in this.
Boy, will
unfortunate time. Yeah. But Captain Eridonen pushes you onward as past the sort of rain that sort of has become a little bit more thick. And the visibility has become a little bit less as the rain wall, for lack of a better word, and sort of the nighttime hits. You all do see past a sand dune a set of red tents in the distance, larger encampment, that is reasonably well lit, despite the rainstorm. You, Aesop, sort of looking, see the recovery squad base. Very
Nostalgia just slapping.
yeah. And you see the busied look of people sort of preparing for the storm and sort of getting everybody inside. But there is a large camp that has a kind of like a giant tree at the center. And as Eridonen leads you through the tents, everybody's just sort of like nods to him. And you see that all of you who've never been here before see that there are a tremendous amount of minotaurs, more than you've seen before, of course, but probably in the time that you're being walked towards a central, larger tent, there you pass by a good 10 to 15, 20 more. None that you immediately recognize, Aesop, but you sort of hear the hustle and bustle of people battening down the tents, and Eridonen sort of confidently walking you all in a direction and just says, come, let's get inside, let's get you to see the general.
Hurry along.
Yes. I'm going to bring you over to another map just for setting the scene a little bit. But there is sort of tents all around you. All of them are set up with these like giant hammocks on the outside, and they are all sort of surrounding this larger oasis. But as Eridon sort of walks you to this larger central tent, and sort of like shakes off some of the excess rain on him, he sort of halts you at the entrance to the tent and says, "Just one moment." And then he walks in by himself. The rest of the squad that was sort of trailing you at this time has sort of they've broken formation to go to help with the shelter effort that the whole entire camp is going under.
Kind of do like a 360, just standing in place, just kind of getting washed away in flashbacks, memories of a life that I could have been down, a path that I could have been down and just never decided to take.
You hear from inside the tent. Go and roll me, I would say, Aesop and one other. Roll me a perception check to hear through all the rain.
Bad.
I'll say Jacob.
I'll percept, yeah.
Okay. You're both able to hear this as the rest of you are just sort of... I think you're more attuned to what Aesop's listening to. The rest of you are just sort of soaking all this in. But you hear the voice of Eridon, or you don't hear the voice of Eridon. You hear the voice of a more feminine figure from within. Aesop, you think that this is the Captain Niana. But you're sort of like in the middle of you approach the tent in the middle of a conversation, and she says, "Our scouts are reporting an increasing storm activity in the southern portions of the island, which continues to be unpredictable. It's unlike anything we've seen." And then you hear a more deeper masculine voice and Hardak says, "Captain, what is it?" Eridon speaks. "General Hardak, we have visitors from consonants spotted near the northern lakes. I've brought them here to speak with you." And there's sort of like a pause before Hardak, the deeper voice of Hardak says, "Send them in." And you all sort of see the tent flap open to greet you inside. I'm just going to drag you in. You're kind of immediately greeted in a tent that is set up as an armory. All of these are weapon racks that are adorned with a tremendous amount of glaives, similar to ones that you've seen held before. And additionally, Aesop, you see Captain Niana, who you have met and trained a little bit under before. But also sort of the more imposing presence of General Hardak, who sort of quickly looking and assessing your group. Those of you who are of a taller stature see that in the middle of the room there's a map of the island that is sort of scattered with a variety of wooden pieces. You kind of imagine that this is like a war room of sorts, where a lot of the action is being coordinated. And Hardak sort of considers you before, sort of in scanning the group, sort of eventually trails the eyes towards Aesop and says, "Well, if it isn't the young two-tailed apprentice, I am surprised to see you here. Concerned, perhaps, but..."
Understood, General. It's like weird for me to say that word because I'm not totally used to saying that, but continuing on, I came back to Consonance expecting to find my community there, and no one was there to find out that y'all were late to coming back. So in that sense, I had to make sure everything was okay, only to realize this island is way worse than any of us previously thought. But now that we're here, we're very capable in helping in any way that we can.
And Eridanen speaks up and says, "They took down an ancient storm crow, they say."
I'll nod my head.
And Hardak says, "Interesting. A inadvisable move, but nevertheless, it does showcase your abilities. And I will admit, it is good to see someone from home." And then he sort of looks down at everybody and says, "And new faces amongst our people. It's refreshing to the eyes. And who are your friends?"
We'll kind of look at everyone.
Quack steps forward, does a formal bow. You may call me Clax. I have some combat training. I was part of Consonant City Guard, so anything I can do to help, please let me know. Take a step back, look over to the next person.
I will say that it because you do have history in Consonance. I should say you've probably seen a couple Minotaurs around in your time in Consonance, but just not enough to like have
Not
much of an
25
identity about them. Yeah, but it is certainly the most you've seen in one place.
Mouse
think,
says- Go ahead.
Sure. I think Drada's fully expecting like Aesop to be like, yes, I'm going to make introductions. Here are these people, how I have met them, and then just doesn't. So Drada is just like, "Hi, my name is Drada. I am friends with Aesop and am fine at being alone in the wilderness when needed. Yes, Mouse, go."
Mouse's neck is starting to hurt from constantly looking up. And so she like waves her arms above her head to make sure that she has everyone's attention. It's like, "Hi, I'm Mouse. I'm a friend of Aesop's and I'm happy to help. Helping is my favorite thing." And like smiles a little too big.
I'm Flint. Build stuff.
Even though we've met just a few months ago, we've all come together to do incredible things like take down one of these storm crows on the island, whether or not it was advisable. We're very capable as a group and individually in different areas, and magic as well.
Well, magic can certainly come in handy. We've had some challenges recharging the ships to return home. So any excess arcane powers you have can certainly be put to use if you wish to do that. But you all look weary from travel, and the hour grows late. So perhaps Captain Niana gestures to the woman across the table from him, can see you to a tent to stay as Captain Eridanen catches me up on the northern happenings. And we shall discuss your presence in the morning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
He sort of nods respectfully, but is sort of like he needs to get back to work mode and
Right.
gestures to Niana, who sort of approaches and says, "Good to see you, Aesop. Let's do as the general says.
Right. Lovely to see you too.
And she will just sort of escort you guys out. We will leave it there because it is 10 o'clock, before we get into the next round of conversations. But you have found your safe haven, so you will be able to enjoy long rests from this territory. And depending on how involved you want to get in the Savanna Island ventures, we'll just see how that goes next time.
I don't know if we have a choice. I don't know if we can leave.
Yeah.
You got to recharge the ships at least. We'll see how that goes.